Hi everyone, my name is Andy Rasman. In this video I will be discussing triangulation in conversation and conflict. This is something I picked up from Dr. Rockenbach at Concordia Seminary, speaking to our Introduction to Pastoral Ministry class. So here's what Dr. Rockenbach explained with triangulation. I'll pop up a little triangle here. You have the pastor in a church, and then you have someone in the congregation which is anxious or some sort of conflict with that pastor. They're anxious about this conflict, but they're too anxious or unable or scared or afraid, or just don't want to deal with the conflict head on themselves because of their anxiety. They just can't go to the pastor with it because they just want to avoid it, right? But they still want the conflict resolved. So instead of going to the pastor, they go to a third party. So that's the triangulation. Usually this third party would be a church elder, someone that they perceive to have, that location of proximity to talk to the pastor and get into their ear what's going on, to basically have the elder resolve the problem. Now, here's what usually happens. That person which has the anxiety and the conflict, they can't just approach the pastor, will oftentimes ask for secrecy. They'll go to the elder and they'll go, I got something to tell you, but I need confidentiality. Okay. Obviously, this causes problems because when they ask for this confidentiality, they say this has to be secret. This is between us. If the elder agrees to it, they're kind of stuck. They feel committed to that. And so now they have this dirt on the pastor, and they go, well, what do I do with this dirt? What do I do with this conflict? I have to go to the pastor, and then when I go to the pastor, it's like, Pastor, I heard from so-and-so, right? Or does the elder even bring in someone else and increase the triangulation and problems? Essentially what this is gossip. It's telling or talking about someone's sin without their knowing. Now, maybe the pastor didn't sin, right? In which case, it would actually be worse than just gossip. It would be slander. So it's adding an untruth to the offense of going behind this person's back, of this triangulation. And secrecy here is the problem. Okay, so maybe the most anxious person feels like I can't go to the pastor for this. They could go to another elder and go, hey, I have conflict with the pastor, and I would like you to be there with me to help mediate and be there for this discussion. That's good. That's not a problem. That's not secrecy. That's not even that is getting permission to bring someone else in and go, hey, I need help because I don't feel comfortable making this conversation on my own. I am not equipped to do this, or I'm too scared, too anxious, whatever. So that would be okay. But the problem here is secrecy. It's gossip. If the pastor is not actually brought into the conflict, he may not even be aware of the conflict, right? He may not even be aware of the offense he's given to this person. And maybe the person maybe the pastor's done nothing wrong, right? But this other person, due to their own feelings or emotions or views, feels offended, right? And that's something that the pastor then would want to know about and would likely want to work out, especially because he's done nothing wrong, right? He would like to work on some conflict resolution here if he's a good pastor. But he has to know about it. And the secrecy and the gossip and the going behind and this triangulation just drives wedges and can divide congregations, divide pastors from their flock, etc. Proverbs 16:28 was shared by Dr. Rockenbach on this point to give a scriptural mandate for why this should not occur in the church. Proverbs 16:28 says, whisperers separate close friends. Whisperers is the ESV translation. Others maybe say actually gossip. All right, other translations say gossip. So the goal here would be to detriangulate. Detriangulate. So you have to get the church elder out of the picture and just have straight communication between the pastor and the person that has the anxiety or conflict or issue, so there can be communication there. And obviously, you have to get this happening. And so the idea that was shared was to help elders understand the limits to confidentiality. When someone comes to them, be like, yeah, you got to talk to the pastor on this one. This isn't something I keep secret. You got to talk to the pastor. Also, uh, get elders to not promise confidentiality. If someone goes, "Hey, I got to share something with you, confidentiality," I can't promise you confidentiality. And in this case, if it's coming to talk smack on a pastor or talk trash or something along this line, it needs to then be you need to talk to the pastor, right? And get this done. Also, putting in place some sort of dispute resolution process within the church. It needs to be part of your bylaws, it needs to be part of your instruction with your elders on how things need to go about. And obviously, Matthew 18 gives some good example on this. You approach the person individually, give help. And obviously, if the person is so anxious that they can't do that, well, then yeah, bring someone else in. But it must be fleshed out. The two parties which have the conflict must be communicating with one another. That detriangulation has to happen. Otherwise, the conflict will always remain. And in fact, the conflict will actually worsen and move into a state of sinfulness by the gossip and of the whisperers. Peace in Christ.